I still remember the exact moment when everything began to unravel, though back then, all I saw was a flawless life stretching ahead like a golden horizon. My name is Adam, and I thought I had it all. A beautiful, intelligent wife named Clara, a cozy home nestled in quiet suburbia, and a future painted with steady hues of love and trust. Clara wasn't just perfect in appearance. She was the embodiment of grace, kindness, and unwavering loyalty. Our marriage, or so I believed, was a sanctuary. But that sanctuary became my cage, and my desire for freedom led me down paths I never imagined walking. We met at university, a classic story of opposites attracting. Clara, studious and soft-spoken, and I, reckless yet charming, somehow collided and sparked something neither of us fully understood. Those early days were intoxicating, filled with late-night conversations, stolen kisses, and the kind of passion that promised forever. Our friends envied us, saying we belonged in a romance novel. I felt lucky, even blessed. But years passed, and the rose-tinted glasses started to blur. Routine replaced excitement. The late-night talks became quick exchanges about bills and schedules. I caught myself watching other women with an unfamiliar hunger that made my stomach knot. I blamed it on stress, the pressure of work, the monotony of suburban life. Yet deep inside, a restlessness brewed that no amount of Clara's warmth could soothe. That restlessness first found a tempting outlet during a business trip to Miami. The city pulsed with life, music, and possibilities, so unlike my gray, predictable world. I met Madison at a hotel bar, a striking woman with fiery red hair and a smile that dared me to forget my vows. She was everything Clara wasn't: wild, fearless, unapologetically alive. One drink led to another, conversations slipped into secrets, and before I realized, I was entangled in a web I thought I'd never weave. Madison wasn't just a fling. She awakened something dormant inside me. Every text, every stolen hour we shared felt electric, as if I'd discovered a part of myself buried under years of responsibility. I lied to Clara. I lied to myself. But I justified the betrayal with a selfish mantra that I deserved to feel alive again. Returning home was torturous. Clara greeted me with that radiant smile, unaware of the storm raging inside me. I hated myself for the double life I led, but couldn't stop chasing the thrill. Then, just as I convinced myself I could handle the chaos, another temptation appeared. Lily. Lily worked at the cafe down the street. She had a gentle charm, a soft laugh that made my heart ache with longing. Our conversations started innocently, casual chats over morning coffee, but quickly deepened. Her eyes held a vulnerability I couldn't resist. She listened without judgment, and her touch, subtle yet charged, ignited a craving I tried desperately to ignore. Balancing Clara's unwavering love, Madison's wild passion, and Lily's tender affection became a dangerous game. Each woman represented a facet of my fractured soul, yet the more I tried to satisfy them, the more hollow I felt. I was trapped in a lie of my own making, a prisoner of desire and deceit. I remember one evening vividly. Clara and I sat in our living room, the soft glow of the lamp casting shadows on her delicate face. She talked about our future, our dreams, of children, and growing old together. I nodded, masking the guilt that clawed at my throat. That night, I lay awake, haunted by the contrast between her purity and my corruption. I wasn't just cheating on her. I was betraying the man I wanted to be. But lust whispered louder than conscience, dragging me into darkness. The taste of forbidden fruit was intoxicating, and I was powerless to resist. This is the story of how a perfect marriage crumbled under the weight of temptation, how love tangled with lust in a deadly dance, and how I became a man torn between devotion and desire. It's a confession, a reckoning, and perhaps a plea for redemption. The days that followed became a blur, a chaotic tangle of half-truths, whispered lies, and stolen moments that left me breathless and broken. I juggled my perfect wife's innocent trust while chasing shadows of lust with Madison and Lily. Each encounter deepened the chasm inside me, yet I couldn't pull myself away. Not when the thrill burned so hot it scorched my very skin. Madison was the wildfire, unpredictable, fierce, and all-consuming. Her touch sent electric currents racing through my veins, igniting a hunger I thought only existed in forbidden dreams. Our meetings were reckless, hidden in dim hotel rooms or abandoned streets bathed in neon. She demanded nothing less than my complete surrender, and I gave it without hesitation. With her, I was free from the suffocating weight of responsibility. For those brief hours, I was someone else entirely. Dangerous, alive, untamed. But it was Lily who unsettled me in ways I couldn't explain. Unlike Madison's raw intensity, Lily's allure was delicate, almost fragile. Her eyes spoke volumes of longing and heartbreak. I found myself wanting to protect her, to heal the wounds I sensed beneath her shy smiles. Our conversations stretched, long into the night, revealing secrets I'd never told another soul. She became my sanctuary, a tender escape from the chaos I'd created. Yet, even that solace was laced with guilt. Balancing these two women while maintaining the facade of a perfect husband was a delicate act on the edge of collapse. Clara's love was unwavering, a steady lighthouse amid the storm of my deceit. She trusted me blindly, a faith so pure it tore at my conscience every time I slipped further into darkness. One evening, Clara prepared dinner in our cozy kitchen, humming softly as she chopped vegetables. The aroma filled the air, warm and inviting. I watched her, heart pounding, knowing that what I was about to do would shatter this fragile peace. I lied, told her I had to work late, needing a reprieve from the suffocating normalcy that strangled me. Instead, I met Madison in a seedy downtown bar, the air thick with cigarette smoke and reckless abandon. Her eyes met mine, filled with hunger and mischief, and all the walls I'd built crumbled. Our hands tangled, lips collided, and the world, outside, ceased to exist. But amid the passion, a whisper of doubt crept in, a nagging voice reminding me of Clara's gentle face, the warmth of her embrace. I pushed it away, drowning guilt beneath waves of lust. A few days later, Lily texted me a simple message that pierced my heart. I wish this could be more than just coffee. Her vulnerability was unbearable, and I promised myself I'd find a way to make things right, to untangle the mess I'd made. But promises felt meaningless when I was drowning in lies. The inevitable collision loomed closer. One afternoon, Clara's phone buzzed with a notification. She glanced at the screen, her brow furrowing. I'd forgotten to silence my own messages, a text from Madison flashing across the screen. Her eyes locked onto mine, confusion and hurt swirling in their depths. "What's this?" she asked, softly, voice trembling. I stumbled, searching for an explanation that wouldn't betray me. My heart hammered as I lied again, claiming a friend's message, a work contact, anything but the truth. But the cracks were showing, and Clara's trust began to fracture. That night, I lay beside her, feeling the weight of my own failure pressing down like a crushing wave. I wanted to confess, to spill the truth and beg for forgiveness, but fear silenced me. What if losing her meant losing the last piece of myself I cherished? The next weeks became a perilous dance, sneaking around, dodging questions, balancing heartbreak and desire. Madison's fiery demands grew, and Lily's quiet desperation became harder to ignore. Clara sensed the distance, her radiant light dimming with every secret I buried deeper. One rainy evening, Lily surprised me at my office. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears as she whispered, "I can't keep living like this, Adam. I need to know where I stand." Her words pierced my soul. I realized then that my lies were not only destroying Clara, but also these two women who trusted me in different ways. I was a man unraveling, caught in a web of lust and deceit with no clear escape. As the rain tapped rhythmically against the window, I stared into Lily's pleading eyes and knew that the perfect illusion I'd built was collapsing. My choices had consequences far beyond what I imagined, and soon everything I held dear would demand a reckoning. The weight of secrets became unbearable. a suffocating fog clouding every part of my existence. The web I'd spun so carelessly was tightening, threatening to strangle everything I ever cared about. I was caught between the raw passion of Madison, the fragile hope of Lily, and the steadfast love of Clara, and I could no longer pretend the delicate balance could last. That night, Clara confronted me in our dimly lit living room. Her voice was quiet, yet it carried a power I couldn't ignore. "Adam, I know something is wrong. Please, just tell me." Her eyes searched mine for honesty, for any flicker of truth, but I was paralyzed, frozen by guilt and shame. The lies tasted bitter on my tongue, yet escaping felt impossible. I don't know what you mean," I muttered, my voice barely a whisper. She shook her head slowly, tears glistening at the corners of her eyes. "Please don't do this to us." The anguish in her voice stabbed me deeper than any blame ever could. Clara, my perfect wife, was unraveling because of my selfishness. And still, I hesitated to confess, afraid of shattering the fragile life we built. Meanwhile, Madison grew bolder, her fiery spirit unwilling to be ignored. Our meetings became reckless acts of defiance, every stolen second a desperate grasp at the freedom I sought but couldn't sustain. She demanded my attention, my passion, and when I faltered, anger and jealousy ignited like wildfire. One evening, she cornered me in a shadowy alley after a late-night rendezvous. "Why are you hiding me?" she spat, eyes blazing. "I'm not your dirty secret." Her words cut through the haze of my denial. I knew she deserved more than whispers and shadows. Yet I was tangled in promises I hadn't kept and fears I hadn't faced. At the same time, Lily's soft vulnerability began to crack under the strain. Her texts grew desperate, her calls pleading. "I need to know where I fit, Adam," she said during a trembling phone conversation. "Because this, whatever this is, it's tearing me apart." I wanted to soothe her pain, to hold her and promise a future, but all I had was confusion and regret. The breaking point came when Clara discovered a message, not from Madison or Lily, but from me, confessing to myself the torment I felt. It was meant to be private, a secret journal entry saved on my phone. But fate betrayed me. Her hands shook as she read my words, the raw truth laid bare. I am lost. I love her. I love them both. And I don't know who I'm becoming. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument. "I can't believe you," Clara whispered, voice cracking. "All these months, living a lie." I reached for her, desperate, but she pulled away. "I trusted you, Adam. I gave you everything." Tears streamed down her face, unraveling the perfect image I'd painted for years. I was exposed. A man, broken by his own desires, drowning in a sea of betrayal. Then, in a twist that shattered my already fragile world, Madison and Lily crossed paths. Neither knew of the other at first, until a chance encounter at a crowded cafe spiraled into a confrontation neither expected. Madison's fierce glare met Lily's quiet desperation. "You're the other woman?" Madison sneered. Lily's voice trembled. "I thought you were just a friend." The truth hit them both like a tidal wave. Their anger, heartbreak, and jealousy exploded in a storm of accusations and tears, and I was the center of the chaos, the man who'd shattered two hearts for his own selfish hunger. I tried to mediate, to explain, but words failed me. The faces of those I'd hurt haunted every corner of my mind. I saw Clara's pain, Madison's fury, and Lily's sorrow reflected back in broken pieces of myself. I was a man on the edge, drowning in the wreckage of my choices, desperate for redemption, yet unsure if I deserved it. That night, alone, in the cold silence of my home, I confronted my reflection. The man staring back was unrecognizable, fractured by lust, deceit, and regret. Could love survive such devastation? Or was I doomed to lose everything? The perfect wife, the thrilling, lovers, and ultimately myself, the silence that settled after the storm was deafening. The chaos of betrayals, confrontations, and broken promises had left a hollow space where my life once thrived. Clara's absence weighed heavier than any guilt. Madison's fire had cooled to ashes, and Lily's fragile hope was shattered beyond repair. I was left alone with the wreckage of my own making, forced to face the man I'd become. Days passed in numbness. I wandered through empty rooms, haunted by memories of love and lust intertwined. The laughter we shared, the stolen kisses, the whispered lies, all fragments of a life I'd fractured beyond recognition. I realized that in chasing desire, I had destroyed the very foundation that kept me grounded. One evening, Clara returned home unexpectedly. The sight of her standing in the doorway, face pale but eyes resolute, shook me to my core. "I've been thinking," she said softly. "Maybe love isn't just about perfection or loyalty. Maybe it's about truth, even when it hurts." Her words pierced through the fog of my despair. I knew then that redemption wouldn't come from grand gestures or excuses, but from honesty and accountability. I sat her down and laid bare every secret, every mistake, every moment I wished I could take back. Tears streamed down her face, but she listened, a testament to the strength of a love tested by fire. Madison and Lily, too, demanded the truth. I reached out, offering apologies and explanations, though words could never undo the damage. Madison's fierce spirit softened with time, but the wounds lingered. Lily, delicate as ever, retreated into silence, leaving me with memories of what could have been. Rebuilding trust was a slow, painful journey. Clara and I attended counseling, peeling back layers of hurt and resentment. We learned to confront the darkness within ourselves and each other, to find grace amid brokenness. I confronted my own demons, the restlessness, the hunger for escape, the fear of vulnerability that had driven me to betray the woman who loved me unconditionally. It was a long road toward forgiveness, but one I was determined to walk. In the end, the perfect life I once imagined was gone, replaced by something raw and real. A love forged through pain, honesty, and the courage to face the consequences of my choices. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know this. Love, in all its messy imperfection, is worth fighting for. And sometimes, the greatest passion lies not in lust or secrets, but in the quiet strength of forgiveness and the hope of a new beginning.